so that he'll be induced. That is intelligence. He'll be angry naturally. He's a rascal. He'll be angry. That is not unnatural. Murkhayo padesho hi prakopayatina shamayati. Just like a snake. You feed the snake with milk. It will increase the poison. That's all. Practically attract. Practically attract. That is, the Hare Krishna movement will practically attract people. If the world affairs to our Krishna conscious plan, there will be no difficulty for all the nations, all the countries. They will be happy. So we have to educate people gradually. And by our example, living example, we'll have to attract. So I was just thinking in this connection that we come to Krishna consciousness, at least in the current situation of the Krishna consciousness movement, and family members, friends might completely object, which many of us have experienced. And it's because they don't see any practical use in it. It's the life we live in the brahmachari or the brahmacharini ashram is, we have very spiritual routines, and we're engaging full-time in the service of the spiritual master. And anyways, it may be hard for people to see the practical benefit we're getting from that. But if we have more of a community with many different things that people can get involved in, many practical things, learning how to grow vegetables, learning how to fix machinery, learning how to sew, learning how to take care of cows, many practical things that have very visible value. If by joining the Krishna consciousness movement, people are getting these kind of skills, then the Krishna consciousness movement will be seen in higher regard by people with mundane vision. Whereas right now, we're all distributing books, and I guess some people may see the value in that because you develop some like sales technique, but for those who are just, they join the temple and for the first 6 months maybe they're just cleaning toilets and cleaning floors. Yeah, for Nima it's been 2 years. Then, parents see their kid doing that and like, what are you getting from this? You're just being a slave. But anyways, the point that Prabhupada's making is that establishing these farm communities by developing the Krishna consciousness movement in a broader sense to encompass a whole community with a wide variety of activities, then you're practically preaching. Whereas if someone's envious and they don't want to hear the glories of the holy name, it's an offense for you to preach to them like that. And many people are not on that level where they can discuss philosophy. But everybody is on the level of, what is that, Annamaya? There's like all these different kinds of levels.
Everybody gotta eat.
No, yeah. Like levels of like what basis someone's consciousness is at. So the very base level is Annamaya, where people are just thinking about, I have to eat. And then the higher rungs you have like the like people that are on the intellectual platform, etc. And ultimately people that are on the spiritual platform. But everybody's got that Annamaya where they just need to eat and they're looking for good things to eat. So you feed them prasadam, and that's one way for them to get connected with the Krishna consciousness movement. But one of the levels of, Annamaya, and then maybe a step up of that is preaching via cooking classes, via cow cuddling, service to the cows, all these things. So it allows the Krishna consciousness movement to reach a population with a wider range. It gives a wider scope for attracting people. So Srila Prabhupada's making that point. You want to continue?
This thing is like 94 now. 94? Local people calling out in distance.
Harilal Ji, Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Jai. At least they're remembering Harilal Ji by seeing us. So much benefit was in that, eh? Gupta, when we pass, people say Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Prabhupada, this is the test of Vaishnava. If one is actually Vaishnava, then by seeing him, one will chant Hare Krishna. This has been created all over the world. Yes, wherever we go, they chant Hare Krishna. Even at midnight in Athens. Wow. Yes, that we have experienced. This is the definition given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jayadvaita Prabhupada. If Krishna had already done all the work at Kurukshetra, so why was he so eager to have Arjun work? Prabhupada, Jayadvaita, because he had already done the work. Prabhupada, yes, Jayadvaita, why did he want Arjuna to work?
Prabhupada, just to show example that don't sit idly, rascal, work. Krishna has already done, but you must work. This is the example. Jayadvaita. People will argue that, why should we work if we can make an arrangement for being idle? Prabhupada, Jayadvaita. People argue that, if we can make an arrangement to be idle, then it is nice. We've worked so hard, now we can be idle. That's nice. Prabhupada. Then that, if you become idle, you'll be diseased. You'll have dysentery. That's all. That will not help you. You will suffer. You'll have to suffer. That stage has already come. Because so many rascals are idle, now there are so many things want. So you'll suffer. If you don't work, then you'll suffer. Hyderabad, April 20th, 1974 morning walk. Guru gives Varna guidance. Guru will test student to determine Varna in Varnashrama. All social orders cooperate to serve Krishna, whatever his social function. A Vaishnava is still a Vaishnava, no matter how much service one does. If he neglects his vows, he is a cheater. Pancha Dravida. How can you teach a Varnashram college? In Varnashram college, if someone comes in, they say, I want to be a Kshatriya, or I want to be a Vaishya. Is it like that? Prabhupada. No. That will be tested by the teachers, for what for he is fit. He will be tested by the Guru. Pancha Dravida. Who will teach him to be a Kshatriya, or who will teach him to be a Vaishya? Prabhupada. A Kshatriya or Brahmana. Just like if you want to learn music, you have to go to a musician. Pancha Dravida. So where will he get Kshatriyas and Prabhupada? That is in the Shastra. Anyone can learn it. Just like if you want to be a doctor, so you must have this qualification. Similarly, these things are stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Kshatriya means if there is fight, he must go forward, first of all, risking his life. That is Kshatriya.
So in the previous chapter, the one we just finished, at the end, Jayadvaita Maharaj was saying that people argue, if we can make an arrangement to be idle, then it's nice. We've worked so hard, now we can be idle. That's nice. And I was just thinking how this is characteristic of the modes of passion and ignorance. How you work super, super hard and then you just completely collapse and you're idle. So working super hard is in the mode of passion and completely collapsing is in the mode of ignorance. But we should come to the platform of goodness in that we're neither working super hard nor we're being idle, but we maintain a steady consciousness. We maintain persistent functionality. Not that we burn ourselves out or not that we're lazy. Now in book distribution and sometimes, Shravan and Kirtanam camp, book distribution marathon, sometimes services are very intense. So sometimes it's like that. You go all out and then you have to take a couple days off. But temple devotees have this special opportunity to learn how to come to the platform of Sattva Gun and be consistent and just maintain, for the most part, temple devotees don't take any days off. It's because, we don't take days off. That's just because we don't, we're trying to cultivate that. It's different from book distribution in that you can be a little more steady. In book distribution, you could be steady too, but with the whole TSKP thing, it kind of gets crazy. But yeah, I was just relating that, and especially once we're having cows and growing vegetables, you don't, I mean, the cows have to be taken care of. It's not like you get a day off and the cows don't get taken care of. Don't get taken care of. That's not how it works. Also, when the vegetables when they need water, you need to water them. So, yeah. So it's all about like having everything worked out in such a way where you can go on in a very regulated way that's systematic and well thought through, not in the mode of passion.
Another to your point, I remember Vishnu Chitraprabhu making this point about this laziness or being idle. Less being idle, I guess more being lazy, which can sometimes be mistaken, I guess, for being idle. But this laziness is actually something that you see in goodness as well, Yeah, but like you said, lazy intelligence. So it's not working harder than is needed, and working in a manner that of which is like sustainable. Of course, then you have laziness and like the mode of ignorance, where it's just like there's no inclination to work. There's no intelligence, that's being used there. So that's also just to your point about work in the mode of goodness.
It also seems like you can't get like too extreme with that, because Prabhupada was saying like if you don't do anything and like everything is done for you, then you get like sick and dysentery. Yeah. So you need
Dysentery, by the way.
disease and I don't know.
It's not a specific like.
I mean, I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, something with the gut. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you don't work, then you don't need a lot of food. So brahmanas. If you observe Brahminical personalities like my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, and I've seen a video of Savya Sachi Prabhu, devotee, Indian devotee, who's helped a lot with, disciple of Jaipatak Maharaj, helped with Nandagram Eco Village. I've seen a video of him taking prasad, but I've noticed with like these Brahminical people, the way they take prasadam is Mitravan Prabhu is another example. They don't take so much. They don't completely fill up. They know how much they need to take, and they only take that much. Because the thing is, if you're living a life that's not like, okay, if you're like moving bricks or if you're fighting tigers or something like that, then you need to eat a lot. You're building houses. You need to eat a lot because you're burning a lot of energy. But those who have Brahminical service, their body doesn't require a lot of food. And so then if you eat too much but you don't live an active lifestyle, you'll get sick, you'll have indigestion. Your body can't process all the things it's putting in, and it completely stops your functionality. And I've observed in my own self, when I eat a lot and I'm not very active, then I'm completely tired because all the energy in my body is just going into trying to break down that food. I'm adding more and more and more, and my body can't keep up, and eventually it just kind of crash, and you end up taking a 10-hour nap. But yeah. Anyways, the point is, I'm just joking, but the point is that you should eat according to how much your body requires. Another thing about the mode of passion is, you eat, in the mode of passion you just take as much as your tongue desires, but we need to be regulated.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like we do need to be on the Sudha Sattva platform. But I was reading the Bhagavad Gita yesterday, and I'll just read, like, this was 1845. The translation is, "By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done." Text 46. "By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, a man can attain perfection to perform his own work." And 47, "It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than accept another occupation performed perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. And Prabhupada was making the point of purport that everybody's situated in different modes of material nature based on, I guess, his karma and his desires. But if somebody's a Vaishya, a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, whatever, if they relinquish their fruits of their labor to Krishna, then they can actually come to level Sudasattva. So it's interesting, like even when we have our Varnashrama community, we're going to have teachers, we're going to have those who are on the farm, we're going to have administrators, hopefully, and then those who are assisting others. But the point is, like you're saying, even after performing your work, we have to realize we're doing this for the point of serving Krishna. Because not everybody's going to be a teacher, not everybody's going to be a Vaishya, But ultimately, a Sudra or even a Vaishya who is able to relinquish the results of his work to Krishna can come to the transit platform, but not just remaining in that mode of nature. So I think that's the whole point. The whole point of the Varnashrama community is whatever mode of nature somebody is in, to ultimately relinquish the fruits of their labor to Krishna. Because there are going to be people who are not, devotees per se, but they're inclined to devotional service. So, but like you said, if we can instill regulation in them, then it will help them come to the level of Sudasattva.
Mention something. On the point of like people who live nearby but aren't really interested in devotional service. My wife and I were just at New Vrindavan, and there's this gentleman there who was like, maybe had been living in that community for like decades, and he took care of the cows. He was kind of like a little more country, but you could tell that like he knew a lot more about cows than I did in all practical sense of the means. So it's like there's people who are involved, in a community, but they might not be chanting 16 rounds and stuff like that. But he'd probably been with devotees since he was like a little boy. But he was like showing us one of his sticks. He was like, yeah, you don't want to get too close to the cows because they'll, poop on you and stuff like that. But so there's just people involved who are going to have so much more like practical knowledge than even we do, who are, whatever, situated in transcendence because we live at the temple. It's like there's a lot of different moving pieces to a functional community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So we have men.
So we have men.
Panchadriva.
Text is small. Panchadravida. So we have men who could teach this. Do we have men? Prabhupada, yes. Because he knows how to teach, that's all. Panchadravida. The Brahmanas, they all become devotee. They would all be engaged in devotional life as Prabhupada. This is also devotion, to teach a Kshatriya, because this is necessary in the society. This is also devotion. Panchadravida. And Vaishyas, Prabhupada. Just like when Krishna is fighting, killing the demons. So that is also devotion. If you help Krishna by killing demons, not that simply by chanting you supply, just like Bhishma Dev. He even injured Krishna, and Krishna took it very pleasant. Instead of throwing flowers, he pierced his body with arrow. So everything for the service. If Krishna is pleased being pierced by the arrow, the devotee will do that. His only business is how to please Krishna. Just like the example is given by Vishwanath Chakravarti, that when a man kisses a woman and bites her, she becomes pleased. Is it not? Is not a fact that biting is pleasing? Is it pleasing? But sometimes it is pleasing. So one has to learn where to bite and when to. But if a rascal thinks that biting is pleasing, I shall bite always, then he's a rascal. Lying down on the Yamuna beach on the sand with his friends, and if we think, no, there is no need of bedding of Krishna, he was lying down on the Yamuna beach, so he will lie down on the floor. That conclusion is very nice. Mahangsa, no, Prabhupada. So we must know how to please Krishna. Generally, the Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, hearing and chanting about Lord Vishnu, that is pleasing. Therefore, these rules and regulations for everyone. But when one becomes mature devotee, he knows how to please Krishna. He knows.
Itai, one question came up the other day when I was talking with this clergyman. Prabhupada, clergyman? Nitai, yes, that man I was talking to was a clergyman. Prabhupada, where he was, Nitai. He was on the airplane when we were coming here to Hyderabad, and he was asking what our program was. And I was telling him that first of all, in order to relieve the confusion of society, we wanted to establish the Vedic culture with this Varnashram system. And he asked me what would be the program that we would have for a man who works in the factory. Prabhupada, he is a Sudra. Nitai, would we retain him as a farmer? Prabhupada, no, not unless he is prepared. If not, let him remain. But we can utilize that Sudra also. Nitai, he can remain in the factory. Prabhupada, yes, but he cannot do the work of a Brahmana. He cannot be trained as a preacher. But he can help, just like my legs. The legs cannot do the work of a brain, but it can help me. I am walking, so leg is as important as the brain. Similarly, Sudra is as important as a Brahmana, provided he helps the movement, Krishna conscious. That is wanted. Not that artificially a Sudra should be working as a Brahmana, no, but everyone should be engaged in Krishna consciousness. That is required, Nitai. So, in that case, he's a Sudra. And he's also doing the work of a Prabhupada, then he is not a Sudra. One who is engaged in Krishna service, he is neither Brahmana nor Sudra. He is devotee. He is Brahma Bhuta, Bhuyaya Kalpate, from Bhagavad Gita 14:26. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Apparently he looks like Sudra, just like we have got so many men from different quarters. But we do not belong to that quarter anymore. Vaishnava Jati Buddhi, from Padma Purana. One should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipped in the temple to be an idol, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master an ordinary man, nor should one consider a pure Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste, etc. Therefore, anyone who takes, oh, here's an American Vaishnava, here's an Indian Vaishnava, that is Naraki, resident of hell. He is a Vaishnava. That understanding required.
Mahamsa. Just like that devotee who was making garlands for Krishna. Prabhupada, yes. Mahamsa. He is a devotee. He is not a Shudra making garlands. Prabhupada, no. He is not an ordinary gardener. Panchadravida. Or that devotee who was making leaf bowls for worshipping the Ganges. Kolavecha Sridhar. Prabhupada, any engagement for Krishna, he is Vaishnav. If he is under the guidance of his spiritual master and doing the business according to the direction, he is Vaishnav. He is above all these. Panchadravida, a Shudra, if he is working, he cannot take Brahman initiation, but he can take Harinam. Is that it? Prabhupada, just like sometimes our men, my devotee, they wash the cupboard. Does it mean he is a Maitar? No, he can go to the deity room also. He is not a Maitar or sweeper. But sometimes we do that. So devotee is above all these consideration. But because there is management, they should appear as Brahmana, Shudra, as Kshatriya, like that. Sagunan samititya itan brahma bhuyaya kalpate mamcha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. A devotee, because he is working as a Shudra, he is not a Shudra, neither he is a Brahmana. He is already in the spiritual platform. But for management, we have to do that. One can do the Shudra's work nicely. Let him be engaged that way. Why he should imitate? Mahamsa. Does he get second initiation? Prabhupada. Everything he will get. Mahamsa. He gets. Prabhupada. Yes, second initiation means recognized. Now he has become fully competent Vaishnav. Just like master is teaching the servant, now you give massage in this way. But that does not mean he has become servant. Panchadravida. What if the person working as Shudra says, I can do so much, I can. Prabhupada, first of all, try to understand a devotee is neither Brahmana nor Shudra. He may act like a Shudra, but he is not Shudra. He may act like a Brahmana, he is not a Brahmana, he is a Vaishnav. Just like gopis, the gopis, they are village cowherds women. They are, according to social construction, they are not very high class. They do not belong to the Brahmana class, but their method of worship has been taken the highest. Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena. There is no better method of worshiping Krishna than the method conceived by the gopis. They were village girls, and practically their character was also not good, because at dead of night they were going to Krishna. But why they have been taken as the topmost devotee of Krishna? Because the love was so high class. It is the test how much one has learned to love Krishna. That is wanted. Apparently, he may appear as Brahmana, a Shudra or Vaishya, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The only business is to see. Savai pum sam paro dharmo yato bhaktir hoksajay. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Aye Hare Krishna Jai, that is wanted.
I was getting a little confused at some point, but is Prabhupada basically saying like that people, that when you're a Vaishnava you're like above these things, but he's saying people will still act like they're these things, but they're really more than that. They're a Vaishnava, and their main things it's just like they do the things that are natural to them, but they aren't, even though they like act like a Shudra, they're not really a Shudra, they're a Vaishnava. Is that what he's saying?
I don't know exactly what particular part you're referring to in here, but yeah, in general, that's the principle, how just like it's been compared to an actor on a stage, how when he's on the stage, he's playing his part, but he knows off the stage his real identity. So the devotees like that, how they may act in this world in whatever way. Like, for instance, Prabhu's a lawyer, but you're not actually a lawyer. You're a spirit soul. But you go to work and you dress as a lawyer, and yeah, I'm a lawyer, but you're not actually, you're not actually a lawyer. So devotees are like that. So they act in this world according to their guna and karma, but ultimately they know that's not who they are. It's my turn, right? Yeah. Where are we?
I wanted to say something
Yeah,
to that
go
point. It seems like it's easy to because in one sense it's like we have to have these distinctions. Like Prabhupada saying we have to have classifications of who's a Brahmana, who's a Kshatriya, who's a Vaishya, who's a Sudra. But then Prabhupada's saying like we shouldn't be attached to that situation. So it's like a very thin line actually. That's how the Vedic system deteriorated in India. Now it's like the caste system. Because it seems like it's a very thin line between we're acting as if we are these designations, but not identifying with them. So it seems like that seems like a difficulty, to maintain that we're working this position, but we're not actually this position, because it's easy for these separation of classes. Brahmanas can only do this, Kshatriyas have to do this. Kshatriyas are less than Brahmanas, and Brahmanas, but you need it. You definitely need the distinctions. But it's a thin line of not oppressing others because of it. Yeah, it's a very thin line actually.
This is Vishnu Chittaprabhu made this point when he was here before, and we had the discussion. The point came up about, I guess, of course, classes, but he said this is where devotees stand out, in comparison to those who aren't attached to serving Krishna. I mean, devotees are attached to pleasing Krishna, so they can take up any sort of obligation and be satisfied in that service. Just like the example that he used was when the Pandavas had to go into hiding and they had to change their occupation. I mean, I think Arjuna was teaching dancing, for example, even though he's a Kshatriya. Bhima was cooking, these are not activities that of which they are used to engaging in, but they were able to because, ultimately it was for the pleasure of Krishna. I didn't read Mahabharata, so I don't know everything that was surrounding that, but that was the general principle. So, for example, he was saying, anybody else who's maybe they're just Brahmin born or they're Kshatriya, when they change their occupation, they can only do it for some time because, again, there is that attachment. There's not that higher understanding of servitude to Krishna. So I think anyways, I just want to touch on that point. I think that's a stark difference, though, between the devotee and one who just is, maybe they're engaging their occupational duty according to their guna and karma, but if it's even that is, higher than that, of course, is just being Vaishnav. So.
Yeah, in devotee society, sometimes we have to do the needful, and just like in the case of the Pandavas, they're transcendental to their guna and karma, so they did whatever occupation they did while they were in exile. So similarly, when we join the Krishna consciousness movement, pretty much everybody, almost everybody goes on books for like quite some time as part of their sadhana, as part of their training when they first join, even though it's the tendency of barely any of us to be salesmen, but still it's a spiritual training, and we're doing the needful, learning how to transcend our material conditioning for the service of Krishna. And book distribution is a great training for that. So in terms of transcending one's karma, well, sometimes devotees may be in positions, for instance, a devotee who's really good at giving classes, who's really intellectual, sits on the Vyasasana and becomes big acharya, but he becomes puffed up. Then ultimately that service is, although in line with his karma, it's not good for his spiritual life. Now, Srila Prabhupada, for the sake of establishing his movement, he engaged people who are really good at being managers, but people who are, or let's say sannyasis that had issues following the four regulative principles. He gave them sannyas even though he knew they were not super qualified, but he did that because they were very powerful preachers, very influential, and they really helped push Prabhupada's movement. So Prabhupada utilized that propensity, even though it, from one perspective, it may seem that it's not good for the devotee's spiritual life. But in the context of today, when the Krishna consciousness movement is already established, I've practically seen one instance of somebody who's very good at, very intellectual, very good at giving classes, great preacher, but became puffed up and therefore was, this could refer to many people actually that I can think of, but they were taken away from that position because it wasn't good for their spiritual life. And so that's one thing that's different from materialistic society and devotee society, is that if doing an occupation is not good for one's spiritual life, even if that's their karma and they're good at it, they shouldn't do that. And so that's one thing that's special that we should have in our society as a measure of checks and balances, that even if a person is so good at the service, if it's not good for their spiritual life, then they shouldn't do it.
Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita says you should. If one performs their own duty imperfectly, they should do that rather than performing another duties perfectly. Yeah, it's in line with Shastra, what you're saying.
But also on that, in one lecture Bhakti Vikas Maharaj was giving, I forget exactly what it was called, where he was saying, like, you may be a very good speaker, you may get puffed up, but it doesn't mean you stop doing that service altogether if it's, like, good for preaching. He was saying, if you just stop, then it's also not good. I forget the exact, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but...
Becoming puffed up is never good for preaching.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, I'm forgetting exactly what he said, but he was saying, like...
You think you have to adjust your mentality.
Yeah,
If you're not able to
stop doing
No, well, what he said was you should adjust your mentality, but if you're not able to adjust your mentality, then that's when. But
you shouldn't just immediately stop.
Like, leave him away.
yeah.
Pancha Dravida. What if the person cannot chant 16 rounds a day? He says, I can't. Prabhupada. Then he's not even a human being. He's a rascal. That's all. He is not a human being. What to consider of talking? Don't talk about him if he cannot chant 16 rounds. He's not even a human. He's an animal.
Oh my God, that's so heavy. That's like a really heavy statement.
Pancha Dravida. Even he may be employed as factory worker or something. Prabhupada. Well, if you take factory workers are better than animals, that is another thing. Nitai. One point that you have made a few years ago in Vrindavan was that this demoniac civilization, especially in USA, keeps a man so much engaged, They make him work so hard just to earn the simple necessities of life that they don't have time to cultivate spiritual life. Prabhupada. Oh, okay, again, talking about this point about days off. Sometimes we require days off, okay, it's not against having some rest. But in general, this is like the concept of a day off is like product of modern demoniac civilization of just like Nita is saying here, demoniac civilization, especially in USA, keeps a man so much engaged, they make them work so hard just to earn the simple necessities of life that they don't have time to cultivate spiritual life. So, anyways, just a side point. Ideally, we shouldn't have days off, but we should work in such a way where we do just enough every day. Okay, Prabhupada.
It's interesting because in a materialistic society, they work so hard, but then the fruits of labor that they're getting is like so awful.
Yeah.
Like you think about the way we eat, like it's so wholesome, it's so nourishing, but people who work out in the material world, they're like working so hard, and then the kind of foodstuffs that they get is just like, I mean, it's awful just to even think about.
Yeah.
It's so sad. They got to work like 12 hours a day just to get a bag of Fritos or something, you know.
Yeah, especially. I know. I've seen in studying sociology, but I've seen like it's like especially for single black women, this is just like temporary kind of statistic. But they like, as a demographic group, they struggle a lot, especially when they're impoverished and exploited like anything. I mean, there's so many instances of single black women having to take care of kids, and they have to work like at multiple fast food places. Even in one day, they have to go from this job to that job. And then what can they afford to eat? Like fast food and corner store food. Really terrible.
The general like the majority of society is in that situation.
Yeah. And we were talking about this yesterday over lunch, but just even for myself, I never had to pay bills or anything, but I can't like, I'd probably be working at a restaurant or something now because I don't have the patience to be a doctor or something like that. But just to maintain a house, it takes such an endeavor. Takes so much hard work and savings and intelligence and making money, and it's just such an endeavor, and people are frustrated and they don't know what to do. So many kids are going to college. They don't want to go to college. Their parents want them to go, and they want to do something, but they don't know what they want to do. And Guru Maharaj also says when he was, in his life, in his pastime, when he was of the age of going to college, they had like a list of things. You could do this and that and that. What do you want to study? And he was like, I don't want to do any of this. This all looks so boring. I have to choose one of these things and do it the rest of my life, and it's just going to be some drudgery. So people are frustrated, and they don't know what to do with their lives, and they feel helpless because they don't see an ideal option around them. And so many people will be eager to join. Like if we get something going, many people will be eager to join because they don't have any like practical direction in life. Just to maintain themselves, they have to work so hard. They have to work at a restaurant. They have to do stupid low-class work, and ultimately just to struggle to pay bills. And everything's so expensive too. And just to think, I mean, being a brahmachari or a brahmacharini, it's such a convenience not to have to worry about bills. You just do your service and you're taken care of. You're provided for. It's a luxury, and the whole 4 regulative principles thing, 16 rounds thing, is where people start to, I don't know. But yeah, anyways, this is a luxury, not having to worry about all this stuff. So if we really establish something good, something that people can fit right into, then many people will join, definitely.
Well, they got like 1,000 emails from these videos they've been making?
Yeah, they got. Yeah, Ali Krishna's got like 16,000 subscribers now, or
He has 26,000
26,000
on Instagram.
followers on Instagram, and how many people are signing up for the emails?
It's just like probably double that, like 2,000. It's like 2,000.
2,000 people have signed up for their emails to keep them in loop with our prospects for farming and whatever. Many people are ready to volunteer, so
Contractors or stuff.
it's a fact that people are interested and people are looking for something like this. So it's just up to us to establish it.
It's like 15 minutes left, so.
Do the mothers have any points?
Well, actually, I was gonna say something. So, this point about people who don't have, they work so hard, they don't have any time to cultivate spiritual life. A lot of the people who are like most frustrated in material life, they see, they might look at, I guess, on devotees and they're like, oh, what the hell, you guys are just begging. Why don't you guys go do something useful? Go do some hard work, you know?
Get a real job.
Yeah, get a real job. I've gotten that a couple times at like the airport, for example, on South Side. But
North side, south side.
yeah, it actually doesn't make a difference at all. You get on North or South. But yeah. Anyways, I guess the
Work hard, play hard.
yeah, it's a nice thing about this these farm communities. I mean, if we can, when we get this going, you know, that people can work and like you said, people are interested, and I think it's really nice that there's opportunity to engage all these people. You know, you can work, but you can work on the farm. At least you'll get some sort of benefit rather than like a bag of Fritos, like Prabhu said. You know. So, anyways.
We're providing really the only thing valuable, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quality things, well, we will provide it. Quality things grown on the land, everything from the land, the soap you use, everything.
Yeah.
And then spiritual life, everything valuable, actually.
Yeah.
This whole glamour of materialistic modern civilization, of, you know, they sprinkle like glitter with like glue and stuff to make things look pretty. It's all like completely stupid.
Or if you've seen like what they do
Real
to
beauty is in nature. It's not.
if you've seen like behind the scenes how they make fast food look appealing on
Yeah.
TV, it never looks like that when you get it. Like, you know, yeah, it's like
Cardboard,
they use
they
stuff
got,
like you quite literally
They
like
put motor oil on the pancakes instead of maple syrup.
yeah. So it's like actually
It's
yeah,
motor
like
oil.
it gets like really like serious, and it looks good on TV and looks like an ideal, like, you know, oh wow, that looks amazing, but it's like actually like really disgusting stuff. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, actually. I don't know. This is maybe not completely bona fide statement, but take it with a grain of salt. But I like all the stuff that, I mean, all the beauty they're trying to produce in their factories is just trying to mimic the beauty of nature. As we went out in nature the other day, and it's when you get far out there, it's like completely beautiful. Yeah, it's completely beautiful. Everything you look around you is completely beautiful, and everything's immaculate. All the patterns and the color schemes, it's all perfect. The sounds, you know, sound engineers study so much, learning how acoustics do that, and you know, you add this much reverb and that much low end, high end, this and that. But you go out in the woods, and the acoustics are completely perfect to a T. All the color schemes, everything. Everything's like so harmonious and beautiful, and all the beauty they're trying to create is just trying to mimic that experience, but it's not the real thing. Actually, real beauty is in nature. It's not. Anyways, that's my own opinion, but yeah.
When we were in Vrindavan, Tapa Punjaprabhu was telling us about like what's inside of a box of Cheerios. It was mind-boggling. I was like freaking out. I think there was like the three main ingredients. I think one was wheat, and then one was soybeans, and then the other was, I think, sugar. But the level of like processing it has to go through. He was saying like the soybeans are grown in China, and then, man, it was so gross. It was so crazy.
And Cheerios are considered like a healthier option.
Yeah. He had a box of Cheerios, and he was explaining how much they have to go through just to eat them, to even how the circles, and they put some sort of like chemical on it so that they can press it, and then it's basically just like really, really processed things that are like coated in sugar. Then when that goes into the body, you're just processing all different kinds of like really, really refined sugars. Basically, there's no like substance to it at all. And people are just getting cancer and all these kinds of crazy diseases.
And the funny thing, they advertise it as being able to like lower, and lowering your cholesterol and whatnot. But it's like at the expense of
It has like wheat and stuff like that, but those ingredients that are even listed there aren't even real ingredients. But then they have another list of like 14 other ingredients that are just, you know, what the hell.
Petroleum.
That's far out, dude.
It was natural. I didn't make it a lot. I mean, like, kind of on the topic of, like, you know, we were talking about people with, like, super, like, struggling life. Like, students, they live, like, the worst life, like, you can think of. They just, like, suffer in school, and then, like, they go back to, like, their little dorm with, like, 4 people, and, like, eat some, like, horrible pizza, like, every day, or, like, some, like, sometimes they don't even eat, and it's either horrible food or nothing, and then it's, like,
the ramen noodles.
yeah, it's just either, like, some, like, quick sense gratification,
You can go.
and then, and it's just, like, it's crazy,
You're missing out, Nimai. You're here.
and they get so much debt, it's, like, it's just horrible,
Yeah, you forgot all the like.
just to get a job.
What are you gonna do again?
Not that, I'm at home, I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm saying, bro.
10 minutes left.
Yeah, you can.
Where are we? I guess you just started Prabhupada. Yeah.
well, if you like. Bottom of the page.
Prabhupada. Well, if he likes, he can get time because he is not in the factory 24 hours. But if one, that is explained. Apratihata. Krishna consciousness cannot be checked. Krishna consciousness cannot be checked by any material condition. If anyone wants to become Krishna conscious, it is not checked. So there is nothing impediment, provided he wants to become. If any condition of life, sthane sthitaha, if he simply hears about Krishna, then everything is all right. He will gradually catch up everything and adjust things. But if he has no ears to hear about Krishna, then it is difficult. Therefore, Shravanam. The first thing is that, the first qualification. You must be eager to hear about Krishna. Then everything will come. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. From Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23. Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu. Remembering them. Serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Offering the Lord respectful worship with the 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. Break. Pancha Dravida. Since such devotees that they do service, they may be very big, they attract so many people, they're successful, kirtana, and everything. But we know that they are not chanting japa. What can we do in that situation? Are we?
Prabhupada. Situation. He's doing some service. He's doing some service. Pancha Dravida. Yes. Prabhupada. So because on account of that service, if he could not, that can be excused. But not that practice should be taken as permanent business. The regulation is that if you cannot finish your chanting that day, then the next day you should forget sleeping and eating and must finish it. Pancha Dravida. Some persons we encounter, they do not even chant at all, and yet we are in association with them, and they are Prabhupada. No, if you miss on account of busyness, then next day you should finish it. You should not go to sleep. You should not. Yes, that day you should forget all other business. First of all, compensate this. Satsvarup. Some devotees have it as a chronic condition now. Prabhupada. Then he is the animal. Satsvarup. But still, he's doing lots of good devotional service. Panchajurida. He may even be manager. Prabhupada. Then they will get some chance later on. What is that devotee if you do not follow the regulative principles? The business is that if one day you cannot finish, but finish. If one day you cannot, but finish. The next day you must finish. Now for eating, he is very eager, and for sleeping, he is very eager. And for finishing chanting, he has no eagerness. Then he is animal. It is simply an excuse. Yesterday you had no time, you were very busy. All right. Today you forget your sleeping and eating. Finish it. That is wanted. And only for chanting, you have no time. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. This is cheating. That I am so busy. Panchajurveda. Most of these devotees in Hyderabad, they are chanting 25 rounds a day or more. Prabhupada. That is all right. If you can chant more, that is good. Panchajurveda. Must associate with them. That is difficult. Prabhupada. But you do your business. You don't follow them. That's all. You remain perfect. There are many imperfects, admitting, but you try to remain perfect so they may see you, your behavior, and they may follow you. If everyone is sincere in his activity, then where is the question? The society means if I am defective, I am seeing that you are doing nicely, so I will be ashamed. That is also teaching. Actually, that should be the practice. If I cannot finish my 16 rounds due to some business, then next day I must finish it. If you say, next day also I am busy, then you should forego your eating and sleeping and finish it. That is the way. You are so busy, but you do not forget your eating and sleeping. That is cheating. If you are so busy that you forget your eating and sleeping, then I consider that you are very busy. But you do not forget this portion. Whenever there is opportunity, I sleep and eat, and I have no time for chanting. This is cheating. How long can you go on by cheating? You must finish it. Hare Krishna. Somebody after initiation, he promises, yes, I shall follow these rules and regulations. I shall chant 16 rounds. Before the fire, before the deity, before the guru. And if he does not follow, then he is a cheater. What to speak of becoming a Vaishnava? He is a cheater. He breaks all his promises. Therefore, after seeing, observing a person is doing everything, then say second initiation, or then he should not be recommended for second initiation unless the president and the other authorities see that he is doing nicely, he is following. Otherwise, he should not be recommended. If he is recommended, that is also another cheating. If you know that this person is not following the rules and regulation, then why should you recommend them? Then it is another cheating. Vaidhi Bhakti, devotional service following the prescribed rules and regulations, must be followed. Otherwise, it becomes Hajiya, a class of so-called devotees who follow their own concocted ideas representing themselves as Krishna and Radha, indulge in debauchery.
Yeah, it's probably good.
No.
Good place to stop.
Good place to stop.
Yeah. Does anybody have any last thoughts? Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada's mission to establish Varnashram farm communities ki jai.
Jai.
Forgo eating and sleeping.
I mean, anyways, I feel like it's one of those things that sounds incredibly harsh, but there's a point, there was a line after that.
Us three?
Factory workers and
Oh, somebody needs to go put the milk on the stove.
I put it factory
Okay.
low.
Okay.
It can be used, you know. So
Come for share time?
no.
It's so easy. You just
I got 6 rounds, and I need to read.